Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive. We're going to be looking at video games today.
Okay.
You seem very interested in the positive side of things.
Yes.
And you sent us some research that I gotta say is fascinating. So get ready, because I think this is going to really change how you view video games.
Yeah, it's funny how video games have kind of gotten this reputation, for being negative.
Yeah.
Like all about violence and addiction and wasting time.
Right.
But there's this whole other side that's coming to light.
Yeah.
With all this research showing how games could actually be good for you.
Okay.
In so many ways, like psychologically, socially, educationally, even for your health and for the economy.
Okay, so we're ditching that stereotype of the, gamer in the basement who never sees the light of day.
Exactly.
So one of the articles you sent is called Video Games Positive Effects.
Okay.
And this is where it gets really interesting. So they talk about psychological benefits. And there was this study by Ryan, I think it's back in 2006.
Oh, wow.
And they found that gamers who regularly overcame challenges in a game felt more capable in real life.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's like it translates, you know?
It's like they're practicing for real life.
Yeah.
Like you face this tough challenge in a game, right?
Yeah.
You strategize, you try different things, and then boom, you overcome it.
You get it.
And that feeling of accomplishment, it boosts your confidence.
Totally.
And you start to see yourself as someone who can handle tough situations.
Yeah, like you can do this.
Exactly.
I've got this.
And that's a skill that you can use anywhere in life.
Right. It's not just escaping, it's like training.
Exactly.
Without even realizing it. And the research also suggests that video games can help you develop better emotional awareness and coping skills. Like the article talks about how gamers learn strategies to handle like frustration or disappointment by playing.
Because in a game, you know you're going to face setbacks. You're going to lose sometimes.
Of course.
And you have to learn to deal with that. And so gamers, they learn to stay calm under pressure.
Right.
They analyze the situation. They try different things until they succeed.
And they don't give up.
Exactly.
And those are essential.
Absolutely. It's like having this safe space to practice dealing with those tough emotions.
Yeah.
It's like a training ground for real life.
So true. Okay. Let's talk about the social side of things.
Okay.
Multiplayer games often get this bad rap for being isolating.
Right.
But this research in this article suggests something completely different. Like, think about Fortnite or League of Legends.
Okay.
These games require teamwork and collaboration.
It's true. You can't win. Those games on your own.
Right.
You have to work together.
You're constantly communicating with your teammates.
Yeah, you're constantly talking. You're coming up with strategies together.
Yeah.
You're coordinating your actions.
Working towards a shared goal.
Exactly. It's all about teamwork.
Which are all, like, super valuable skills.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are, like, the most important skills you can have.
In a real world.
Whether you're working on a project at school or collaborating on something at work.
Yep.
Or even just navigating, family dynamics.
Yeah.
Teamwork is essential.
And it's not just about the skills themselves. It's also about that feeling of belonging.
Yeah, that sense of community.
That gaming communities can create.
Gamers, they really do form these strong bonds.
They share strategies, celebrate victories, support each other through losses.
It's like a real community.
And this can be super powerful for people who maybe struggle with social connections offline.
Absolutely. It can be a lifeline for some people.
And what's even more fascinating to me is how online gaming can connect people across different countries and cultures.
Right.
Like you're interacting with people from all over the world. You're exposed to different perspectives,
It's amazing.
And you're forming these bonds that you might never have otherwise.
There's actually research showing that a lot of these online gaming friendships actually turn into real-life meetups.
Wow.
And lasting relationships.
So it's not just online?
Exactly. It's like breaking down the barriers between online and offline.
So it challenges this whole idea that online connections are somehow less meaningful.
Right.
Or less real.
Exactly.
They're face-to-face interactions.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the educational benefits section.
Okay.
Now, I think most people have heard about educational games.
Yeah.
But I think the research really highlights how effective they can be. And there's this one stat that really blew my mind.
What's that?
It's from the article, Your Guide for Finding and Using Educational Games in the... It's a very long title.
Okay.
But anyway, it says that nearly 75% of teachers have used game-based learning in their classrooms.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I know.
So it's definitely becoming more mainstream.
Yeah, and it makes sense,
Yeah.
right? Because you're tapping into
Yeah.
that natural desire to play.
Kids love games. They're naturally drawn to them.
And so when you incorporate those game elements, like challenges and rewards and feedback,
Yeah.
it just makes learning more fun.
Especially for kids who might not be that interested in traditional learning methods.
Right. It's not about just like, memorizing facts.
Exactly.
Educational games can encourage problem solving, critical thinking.
Like you're faced with a problem. You have to figure out how to solve it. You have to think outside the box, experiment with different solutions, and it's all in this safe environment.
Right. You can fail, and it's okay.
Exactly. You learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
And you try again.
What's also really exciting is how adaptable educational games can be.
That's a good point.
Like they can be tailored to different learning styles and needs.
Yes.
Which is especially beneficial for students who might struggle with traditional teaching methods, like students with special education requirements.
Yes.
They can really thrive in a game-based learning environment where they can learn at their own pace. And in a way, that suits their individual need.
It's like leveling the playing field for everyone.
It's amazing how educational games can do that. But wait, there's more. The research you sent also mentions the health benefits and economic benefits of video games.
Now, those are two areas that people don't usually think about when they think about video games.
It's overlooked.
Exactly.
So we're going to dive into those next time.
That's a good.
So stay tuned. So we were talking about the health and economic benefits of video games.
Right. Like how could video games possibly be good for your health or for the economy?
Yeah, it seems kind of counterintuitive.
It does.
Yeah.
But the research is actually pretty fascinating.
Okay, so let's start with health.
Okay.
You sent over an article called A New Approach to Healthcare Video Games.
Yeah.
And it talks about these things called exergames.
Yes, exergames, those are. A really cool example.
What kind of those? They're like games that get you moving.
Exactly.
Like dance games and VR fitness experiences.
Yeah, and even like augmented reality games. They get you out and about exploring the real world.
So it's like a fun way to exercise?
Exactly. It's like sneaking in. Exercise without even realizing it.
Especially for people who don't like traditional workouts.
Right, because who wants to go to the gym when you can just dance it out?
To your favorite game.
Exactly.
Okay, so exergames are definitely a plus for the health benefits.
And it's not just exergames. There's also research showing that playing video games in general can actually improve cognitive function.
Really?
Yeah, like things like memory, attention, problem-solving skills.
Wow, that's amazing.
And some games even help to reduce stress and anxiety.
Okay, so it's not all just like adrenaline and excitement.
There's a calming aspect too.
Definitely.
Okay, so we've got physical health and mental health. Now, what about the economic benefits?
Right, well, the gaming industry is huge.
Yeah, it's massive.
It creates jobs all over the world.
Like game developers, designers, marketers.
Esports professionals, the list goes on.
I was reading that the Entertainment Software Association reported that over 200 million people in the U.S. alone
play video games weekly.
That's a lot of gamers.
I know, that's a huge market.
Yeah, and that translates to a massive economic impact.
The billions of dollars in revenue.
Exactly.
Job creation across so many sectors.
And even a boost to local economies.
Yeah.
Through things like esports tournaments.
All right, it's like a whole ecosystem.
It really is.
But it's not just about the industry itself.
That's true.
Remember those skills we talked about?
Like problem solving and critical thinking and collaboration.
Those are in high demand.
Absolutely. Those are the skills that employers are looking for.
So in a way, video games are like a training ground.
Yeah, it's like a secret weapon for career success.
There was one thing in the educational benefits section that I wanted to touch on.
Okay.
It talked about intrinsic motivation.
Oh, yeah, that's a fascinating concept.
It's like video games can make you want to learn.
Exactly, because they tap into our natural curiosity and desire to explore.
So instead of forcing kids to sit through boring lectures, you can present them with engaging challenges, exciting narratives.
Yeah, it's all about making learning fun. And when learning is fun, kids are more likely to engage with it and retain the information.
And they actually want to learn more.
Exactly. It's about fostering a lifelong love of learning.
Okay, so we talked about exergames, but I know there's also research on how video games can impact mental well-being.
That's right. Some studies have shown that certain games can actually help with things like depression and anxiety.
Really?
Yeah. There's actually an app that was mentioned in one of the articles called Earhart,
Okay.
and it uses gamification to help people manage their mental health.
Wow. So it's like you're playing a game, but you're also getting therapy.
In a way, yes.
It's incredible how technology can do that.
It really is. And even games
Yeah.
that aren't specifically designed for therapy can still have positive effects.
Okay, how so?
Well, a lot of games induce a state of flow.
Flow.
Yeah, it's that feeling of being completely absorbed in what you're doing.
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling.
Like you lose track of time, you're completely focused.
You're in the zone.
Exactly, and research has shown that that state of flow is linked to increased happiness, creativity, and overall life satisfaction.
It's like a form of meditation almost.
In a way, yes.
And then there's the social aspect,
Right, the connections we make with other players
whether it's online or in person.
can provide a sense of belonging, support
Yeah.
purpose, all things that are so important for our well-being.
It's like we're breaking down that stereotype of the lonely gamer.
Exactly. Video games can bring people together and help us build meaningful relationships.
But we can't just ignore the potential downsides,
Of course not.
like we've all heard stories about. People who get too addicted to games.
Right, it's all about balance, like with anything else.
Excessive gaming can have negative consequences.
It can lead to neglecting responsibilities,
Mhm.
withdrawing from social interactions, even physical health problems.
And then there's the issue of addiction.
Yeah, for some people, gaming can become a real problem.
It's important to recognize the signs and seek help if needed.
Absolutely.
So how do you find that balance?
Well, it's about being mindful of how much time you're spending gaming,
Right.
making sure you're still taking care of your other responsibilities.
Work, school, relationship.
Physical activity, all of that.
And it's also about being aware of the content.
Right? Just like with movies or books. Video games can have content that's not appropriate for everyone.
Especially for younger players.
Exactly. So it's important to be informed and make conscious choices
About the games you play.
and set healthy boundaries.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to remember that everyone is different.
That's a good point.
Like what might be a healthy amount of gaming for
Yeah.
one person could be excessive for another.
Exactly. It's all about knowing yourself,
Mm-hmm.
your limits, and making choices
Yeah.
that support your overall well-being.
Okay, so even with the potential downsides, it's clear that there are a lot of positives
Definitely.
to video games.
I think we need to shift the conversation away from just focusing on the negatives and start recognizing all the possibilities.
Yeah, it's like we've been looking at video games through this very narrow lens.
Right? And we need to widen our perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like we need to see the bigger picture here.
The whole spectrum.
We've talked about the psychological benefits, the social connections, the educational potential, even the impact on health and the economy.
It's mind-blowing when you think about it.
It really is.
Like, who knew video games could have such a profound impact?
It's a testament to the power of interactive media.
Absolutely.
And I feel like we're just scratching the surface.
I think so too.
Like, as technology keeps advancing, imagine the possibilities.
It's exciting to think about.
So what did we learn today? Video games, when approached thoughtfully, can be so much more than just a way to pass the time.
They're not just a distraction. They can actually be a tool for learning, for growth, for connection.
For improving our well-being.
Exactly.
It's a shift in perspective that's long overdue.
I agree.
And I think the more we understand and embrace the positive potential of video games, the more we can harness their power to benefit ourselves and society.
Well, so it's about having these open conversations, challenging those outdated stereotypes, and recognizing that video games, like any form of media or technology, can be a force for good.
It all comes down to how we choose to use them.
So to wrap things up, let's leave our listeners with a question.
Okay.
If video games can teach us valuable skills, connect us with people from all walks of life, boost our well-being, and even contribute to a thriving economy, what does that say about the potential of interactive media to shape the future?
That's a great question.
It's something to think about. And I encourage you all to keep exploring this amazing world of gaming. Who knows what incredible discoveries await?
Keep asking questions. Stay curious and game on.
That's a wrap for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us.